Once we have listening down, and that listening is active even when you're not the person talking, that you are actively participating and that you're a part of the conversation, we then move into the next part, which is communication, which goes along with listening, but it's how we speak to each other. So we hear a lot about compliments, and we hear a lot about acknowledging people. One of the challenges that we hear from kids is that we don't do really well at acknowledging success or effort. So effort when you're saying things because someone's attempted to do something well, but they might not have been successful at it. So we talk a lot about you're responsible for the words you say. So I know in school you'll hear a lot about keeping your hands and feet to yourself, and it's that whole zero tolerance. But there needs to be zero tolerance for the way we speak to each other as well. So we actively teach kids how to speak to each other, and we want teachers to actively teach that, and parents. And so again, it's that continuity. So we talk about put-ups and put-downs. So we teach to put-ups, and we talk about put-ups are things you do or say that make another person feel good. And that's laid out for you in the handbook. But what it really does is once you've labeled it, we talk about it's not okay to give put-downs, and put-downs can be done with body language. They can be done by the words you say. So we talk a lot about what can you do. So now, once we've taught it, then we can label it, and that's what kids need. It's that teachable moment. So when you have someone in my house with boys quickly going around the house, that was stupid. We say things unconsciously. So what it does is give the power to say, that's a put-down. We don't do that in this house. And all it does is give that check. It's not a nag. It's not okay, you're bad, you shouldn't have done that. It's a quick reminder of, we don't do that, and then move back into how we do talk. Sometimes you'll have to intervene more than that, but right now what it is, it's about labeling it. One of the things that's really cool is how full is your bucket is a really cool story that goes along with put-ups, and it's about a young boy who every time someone says something nice to him, he gets a drop in his bucket, and when he leaves, when someone says something that's a put-down, it takes a drop out of your bucket. And the story, it's from his grandfather's perspective, and his grandfather tells him about how everyone has a bucket over their head. And so what do you do to have those conversations to fill people's buckets? And it's funny, I got an email today I've been doing some training with staff around filling a bucket, and I sent an email about something, and someone emailed back saying, thanks for filling my bucket. And so it is, once you get that common language going and hearing it, you'll hear the kids saying that. In a JK classroom yesterday, one of the staff told me, a little boy said, when you come in the classroom, you fill our bucket. And so really getting the language and understanding put-ups and doing those things. Now, as a family, how do you guys acknowledge each other's strengths or let them know that they're doing well, those kinds of things?
We try to acknowledge efforts and encourage them to just try, even if you don't succeed at it. It's the language they like is, they're both into science, so they like the Magic School Bus and the whole get messy, try things. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try it out. But definitely trying to put a positive spin on
Excellent.
how we talk.
That Get Messy, the Magic School Bus, is a great example of taking risk, right? So taking risk, taking chances, and being able to not worry so much about what the end result's going to be, but making an effort. You can't get messy if you don't even try, if you don't step into the efforts. And those are really important things. Now, do you have time, you obviously both work, do you have time together each night to be able to hear about their days and do those kinds of things?
Generally around bedtime.
Yeah.
So there's reading, and we read together, and then there's time around that to be together as generally all of us, actually.
Yeah, sometimes around supper preparation as well. We'll try to, since we can't necessarily be physically connecting with them, you want to be able to talk a little bit about what's been going on and how they feel or what they're thinking. That's something that I've sort of stepped into a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I think parallel conversations can, when you're doing something alongside of them, sometimes for kids is easier than doing that one-on-one where they feel like you're giving them the inquisition about their day. And so it's about engaging them. I love when I'm in the car, being able to have that conversation, because one of the things I really acknowledge is when you come home at the end of the day, you don't want to relive your whole world. You don't want to relive everything that happened. But we as parents want to feel like we're not missing out on the things that happened with our children during the 6 hours they were in school. school. But it sometimes comes across a bit like an inquisition. So doing it around dinner preparation is a great time. We have a family that we worked with who we started talking about when do you share your day or give put-ups. And so we had done a family child workshop, and the family shared that they had started adopting. One of our suggestions is that sharing one positive thing about the person, so giving a put-up to each person that in your home daily, and they started doing it at dinner. And she started talking about how her and her husband had never done that, and that she wasn't aware of how much her husband appreciated her until they started acknowledging this. And their child came home and said, "You and Daddy don't give each other put-ups." And it wasn't that they weren't being positive with each other, it just wasn't, they weren't consciously making each other aware of the things they do. And we do tend to take it for granted. We get busy and we forget to acknowledge those things, and our kids really do pick up on that stuff. And so by hearing it, so she made a comment about Tools for Life had saved her marriage, but it really had just helped them to communicate differently and be more conscientious about how they treat each other. And that's kind of what it's like.